So I gotta admit something. I've kind of been sleeping on Yolopark. So I've tried Yolopark exactly once. I got their AMK Optimus Prime, the Rise of the Beast version. Recently, they've done another one with some upgrades, but the original one was pretty good. There's a lot going for him. He's got a great price, but there was just some things that really kept me from wanting to mess with him more. Mainly the neck. I can't get over this neck. And because of that, I was just kind of like, eh. I found blockies that basically checked every box that I wanted from Transformers model kits, and I didn't really take another look at Yolopark. Now I know I'm really late to the party at this point. However, I found the AMK Pro Last Knight Optimus. I don't know why I found it. It was random. I was searching on the internet and I saw it and I was like, wow, that looks really good. And for me, when I do toy photography, I like having things that have a lot of very authentic detail. And this guy seems to have that. Today, we are going to be looking at this dude and seeing, is he really worth it? And have I been extremely unfair to Yolopark for like the last year? Let's find out. Inside, we get 3 trays. You'll find a bonus metal pin that looks really cool. The instructions, which are going to be very important. And I lied, there are actually 4 trays. If you unstack all of them, you'll find a 4th one hidden underneath number 3. Now, the orientation of the parts in these will be very important for the build process, so just be careful. Don't just unbox everything willy-nilly, or you may get kinda lost. There will have been a live build of this. If you want to watch that, there will be a card up in the corner, and let's take a look at the figure. The assembled figure is incredibly jam-packed with details. Now, for some of you, this is exactly the reason why you don't like this Optimus design in the first place. For me, I find it really intriguing. There's always something new to look at. The paint is fantastic. The finish is perfect. And there's even a little subtle bit of weathering. Overall, the details make this guy feel more like a shrunken down 3-0 figure than anything else, which is kind of the reason why this caught my eye in the first place, and it does not disappoint. There are even die-cast bits of armor scattered throughout the figure to add just a little bit more realism to the whole look. For accessories, you get 3 pairs of pre-posed hands. These do not come with hand armor, so you kind of have to just take the armor that's already on there and swap it. These are a soft plastic to make it easier to pop them on and off. You also get a pair of posable hands. However, I don't really see the point in these because the fingers are locked together in 2s, which means there's no pointing poses that you can do. There's no like fanning out the fingers. It's just basically a 2-in-1. You can have it be an open hand or a fist. Don't really get that. It's also a harder plastic, which makes it a lot more difficult to pop on and off of the arm. There are parts included to give Optimus either his battle mask or his mouth, which looks fantastic. You also get the parts to turn him into Nemesis Prime, which means you get a side of the head and top of the head that come with red print, as well as a set of purple eyes. For weapons, he comes with his sword, which looks fantastic. There's so much detail. This was kind of one of the main reasons I wanted him because, like I said, robot with sword is awesome. However, mine did come a little bit bent. Not super happy about that. He includes his shield, of course, very Ragnarok-esque, lots of nice detail, and you also get a wrist blade. There is a swappable forearm plate that acts as a base for either the shield or the blade. You of course get the stand, which is a very robust stand. It comes with a little removable Autobot symbol, which is very important. I'll show you that in a second. The stand itself has a very large posable section that you can kind of set Optimus on. And finally, you get an assorted range
of attachment pieces so you can mount the sword on Optimus's back, or you can mount the sword to the shield and then the shield goes on Optimus's back. That removable Autobot symbol is the trigger for the light up feature. Now, keep in mind, you will need a CR927 battery to make this work. Not too hard to put it in his head, it just slots right in there. Just be aware that's something you need before the lights will activate. You get 3 modes. Normal, which is just on, flashing, maybe he's having a seizure, and then this slow flickering pulse, maybe he's dying, I don't really know. The most useful is just on. You can do this for both the purple and blue eye variants because it's just a clear piece of plastic over top of a white LED. Now let's talk articulation, and this is gonna take a second, so grab yourself some popcorn or something, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Head goes upward about that much. There is actually a joint at the base which kind of allows a little bit of side to side, so you get overall about that much side to side. That joint was incredibly loose when I first got him and I needed to tighten that up. Side to side you can get about there before it bumps. Same on the other side, you can kind of shove the neck to the side a little bit and get a bit more. And then downward's pretty good. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the head. The shoulder can move completely out of the way, which is fantastic. You can also rotate this piece here. Now, you gotta be careful, and I would recommend grabbing the base because this is just a double clip piece, which means there's not a ton of plastic holding it on there and you could break it. Once you get this all the way out of the way, you can bring the arm up to there, then rotate, and you can get above straight, which is fantastic. I really like that. What I don't like is this little tab of plastic here. That severely impedes the rotation at the bicep. You can only go in a little bit before it starts bumping. I know it's movie accurate, but please, Yolopark, don't do this sort of thing again. It makes the posing way less fun. There's also something inside the shoulder limiting the rotation, so I don't really know how they got the pose that was on the front of the box. We do get a double jointed elbow that goes to about there. This piece will rotate independently, so you can kind of position it however looks best to you. The hand is just a simple ball joint. You get all the articulation you would expect. Be careful though, because if you do this, there goes your armor plate on the hand, and because the hands are soft rubber, it's very easy to pop that off. You do get basically a full clean 360 there at the shoulder. This piece does like to slowly separate over time, so just make sure you have that pushed all the way in. And then you do get a bit of a butterfly joint from side to side. Very seamless, looks great. Moving to the torso and the hips, these are my biggest problem sections. So first, for articulation, we get a crunch forward about that much, backward about that much. When you look at this around the back, just reveals more parts, which is great. That's lovely. I love to see that. You do get a little bit of side to side, not too much. This piece in there though, number one, came loose, I had to tighten it up, and number two, it's very flexy, so his top can kind of wobble a bit. The same with the hips. You get a level of flex to the hips that I really don't like to see, and I'm quite frustrated because the die cast parts have been used places like here and here, when really they should have done die cast for those hip pieces and not a flexy plastic. So you get a moving front skirt. You also get a drop down, which I did have to tighten this. The leg goes down that far. You can get out to the side on the drop down. There is a bit of a thigh swivel, which I had to loosen up because that was too tight. So once you collapse it, you basically lose access to that. It's not great, but the drop down is very helpful. You do get a double jointed knee. I couldn't really ask for much better than that. It does make some nice part separation. These pieces on the end for the knees aren't on very solidly. They can pop off. For the feet, you have forward and back to about there. You do get a bit of a toe hinge. There is die casting the feet, which means more weight, which is great. I love that. This piece is on a little bit of a clip, kind of helps with articulation, but I haven't really run into any grand uses for that. You do get pretty nice side to side, and the good thing is this is a screwed together joint, which means it's fairly easy to disassemble it and tighten it should this get too loose and your figures start falling over. There's a bit of a swivel here because it is just a peg, and the same goes for the waist. You get a little bit of side to side, not a ton, but it works. This was another super tight joint. I had to sand it quite a bit. You can see me doing that in the live stream because it was so tight and this plastic is so flexy. I was afraid that if I just popped it on the way it was and tried to move it, I would break it. And I still had that concern about the hips because I've had to tighten the hips just to keep him standing up, but it's still very flexy, and I just am kind of halfway expecting it to break at any second. So I absolutely love the way this guy looks. The details are perfect. This guy is one of my favorite figures right now, purely because of how nice he looks. It feels like I should have paid more than $70 to get something that looks this good. He's also a very solid, heavy feeling figure, which is why I have the biggest complaints about these flexy little hips and the flexy torso, because like, yeah, that's just not great. Like I said, I'm kind of expecting to have to contact Yolopark to see if they can give me replacement parts because it just doesn't feel solid. I wanted the metal to have gone there. So typically what I would do is I would take this guy out, you know, or any figure, put him on the ground somewhere in some nice dirt, take some photos, and I love doing it that way. But Optimus, I want him to be life size, and for Optimus, that means 30 feet tall. So I went out and I shot some photos of different locations. I got a gas station, I got a town center, and then I brought those photos back and I just stared at them for a little bit and pondered how I was gonna fit Optimus in a way that made sense. From there, I went and started posing Optimus, got him in a few different poses, shot the pictures of him posed up on my white background, and then it's time to take it to Photoshop. The editing process is what's going to really make this project work. It doesn't matter how good I shot the photos, if I botch this editing process, that's it, the project is sunk. I'm not going to explain the entirety of the editing process because if I did, we'd be here all day. Basically, what happened was this became way more painful than I was expecting because I forgot about lens distortion. So if you don't know, all lenses, the glass on it is slightly curved. And when you shoot a really wide landscape shot, you're gonna see that curve as distortion on the edges in particular. But when you take it and shoot something smaller just in the center of the frame, you're really not gonna see that distortion so much. And because of the size disparity between real life and little Optimus, that ended up being a big struggle to reconcile in the editing process. I ended up reshooting the picture of Optimus over and over and over again, re-editing the entire thing. I think I did it like 5 different times. I mean, you'll see on the screen as we go along. And I eventually had to start replacing the arm and the leg to make sure things lined up right. And then it was adding the shadow, adding little details like cracks, making sure the colors lined up. It was a very long and tiring editing process. And there is the final photo. I have to say, I'm still not 100% happy with how this turned out. I think I could do better, but I don't know how I could do better right now because I'm not super experienced in compositing work like this. So as we go forward and do other videos with compositing along these lines, I'll hopefully get better. But for now, I think the end result is passable. I went through so many variations to get this right, so many tweaks, so much. This has been the most involved editing process that I've had in I don't know how long. So I actually shot 2 photos for this video. If you want to see the second photo, go and make sure you follow my Instagram. I post all my photos there eventually. There is an editing process video that is a members only thing, so you can join the membership if you want to see that. And at the end of the day, I do feel like I got my money's worth from this figure. This guy ranges in the like 56 to 70 zone. I paid 70 and I feel pretty good about it. Every time I pick him up, he still feels really solid and heavy everywhere except for those stupid hips. That needed to be die cast. That's my biggest gripe.
Second biggest gripe is, as I've mentioned, those pins on the shoulders. That just really gets in the way and makes posing that much more difficult. But still, after shooting him, those problems aren't enough to make me dislike this figure. He's one of my favorite figures in my collection. Like, he feels like something special because of how much detail he's got. So I personally very much enjoyed it. I would recommend it. I will leave the link to the Amazon place that I bought it from and the Yolopark store. I'd love to hear what you think of this figure, what you think of the Optimus design. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are you hoping to see from Yolopark? What do you think about Yolopark's other designs? And what do you think about the photo that I shot? Was it convincing? I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.